Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Cabinet meeting. My name is Ed de Coverley. I'm the Chief Executive of Melton Borough Council. Unfortunately, the leader of the council is currently recovering from a recent operation and has had to submit his apologies for today's meeting. It therefore falls to me to call for a chair from the floor. So can I please have nominations? Councillor Brown.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Freer to chair the meeting, please.
Thank you. And can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Councillor Freer, would you like to take the chair, please?
Good afternoon and welcome to Cabinet meeting for Wednesday, the 16th of June, 2022. Just some housekeeping. Good afternoon and welcome to the Cabinet meeting of Melton Borough Council. Members are reminded that we'll be using the audio-visual system this afternoon and that the meeting will also be streamed live on YouTube. Members are asked to raise their hands in the usual way to indicate they wish to speak and to use their microphones when speaking for the benefit of all present. The microphone is live when the red light displays. Please switch mobile phones to silent. I will now provide a reminder of the evacuation procedure. In the event of having to evacuate the council chamber, please leave by one of the 6 emergency exits around the sides of the chamber. Please assemble at the far side of the front car park nearest to the park entrance. Officers will be on hand to assist persons who require any assistance. A public recording of the meeting. There is legislation that allows the public to film, record or use social media at a council meeting. This must not be disruptive to the good order of the meeting, nor include any filming or recording of the public seating area. Thank you. First item of the agenda, apologies for absence. I believe we've received apologies from councillors DeBell, Graham and Orson. I believe that is all the apologies. Thank you. Second item of the agenda is the minutes. So we need to confirm the minutes of the Cabinet on 9th of March 2022. I will move the minutes. So I propose that the minutes are given as a true record. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I second those, Councillor Freer. Yeah.
Has any members got anything they wish to raise? Any amendments they wish to raise on the minutes? No. If not, then can we all vote and say and approve those minutes? Thank you. Going on to the agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Has anyone got any declarations they wish to put forward? No, good. We'll move forward. If we move on to agenda item 4, matters referred from scrutiny committee in accordance with scrutiny procedure rules. We have the chair of scrutiny with us and the report. So can I invite Councillor Child to present the scrutiny report, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The scrutiny committee met 10 days ago to consider a report and presentation on the draft centre vision. It didn't particularly start off too well in that there was some confusion that whether the portfolio holder could be actually present at the meeting. And he kindly forewent his tea and hot-footed it over to assist Lee Byrne with the portfolio. So I'm very grateful for that. I think the confusion also didn't help in that there was no briefing for the committee, and if there had been that briefing, I could have steered the committee the right way. So the scrutiny committee initially were not aware that the vision was a background document. However, later in the meeting, it was noted that it was so and will be used to steer the development of the town centre over the next 10 years. The vision document is accompanied by an action plan of key projects and activities to be delivered and supported by partner organisations. The vision will help direct investment and funding for the delivery of these projects. It was explained to members that the vision evidences the elements identified by the stakeholder consultation events, which would support the council when bids are made for external funding. I expressed concerns over the proposed use of consultants on projects within the vision, which had no chance of progressing. Although it was explained to members that consultants would be procured using the correct procedure and would only be used where there isn't the appropriate skill set within the authority. The portfolio holder, when he finally arrived, confirmed that under his watch, consultants would not be used on such projects. Members questioned the funding source of the projects and were informed that external funding would have to be sourced for them. It was explained if there was no funding, then the projects would not proceed. The committee expressed disappointment that the council had not successfully engaged with the landlords of the Bell Centre before inserting the project into the vision. It was explained the project is in the vision because it was identified as a priority through the stakeholder consultations. As a matter of interest, two councillors have since made contact with the co-op without any problem, so there shouldn't be any future problem with contacting them. A member commented that youth services should figure more prominently within the vision, as there are references to the lack of provision for young people. The comment was made that the vision is a good document, but it needs to be a bit more focused. However, it was explained that the vision evidences the elements that the stakeholders believe to be important for the regeneration of the town centre. One member stated he was pleased that Cllr was included within the vision, and as that was huge potential. Car parking was referenced within it. However, members commented there wasn't a clear strategy or agenda. One councillor asked what is likely to be spent on the strategy for car parking and what had already been spent. The regeneration manager was unable to provide an answer at the meeting, but committed to provide an answer outside of the meeting. Concern was raised that it could lead to more investment for the cattle market, thereby directing resources away from the region of the town centre. The comment was made that Melton Mowbray is talked up as the rural capital of food. However, the food offer was limited, and that it is correct that the vision focuses on enhancing the food offer. The councillor commented they were concerned with some of the language of the document, specifically the reference to the economy being low wage. It was felt that this had the potential to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The committee questioned the short time frame for considering the vision and the associated levelling up fund and UK shared prosperity fund bids. However, it was explained by officers that the window for the bids, as announced by central government, was short and there was a huge amount of work to do. In addition, previously, the limited resources of the team was diverted into forwarding to council taxpayers the COVID business grants. To date, despite asking the portfolio holder, we've had no answer to any of the questions that were raised on the night. So we're a bit disappointed on that, but presumably it's pressure of work. In relation to the stockyard, if that was successful, it's going to generate a lot more income. Are we going to get a fair share of the income, or are we going to just get just a small portion and the majority goes to Gillstream? one question I'd like answering, and the other one was on the King Street. It's saying that it's being procured to who is it? Brocklesby's, yeah, Brocklesby's. Was there a procurement on that, and has any due diligence been carried out? I think that concludes the comments from scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you. Obviously, there'll be the portfolio holder would like to respond to that. I could answer some of those questions, but I think there's people in the room that have a lot more information to hand that could provide a better answer. But I'd just like to point out, according to the scrutiny notes, it didn't really say that there's a problem with contacting the Bell Centre landlords. It said that they hadn't done it because it just formed part of the strategy. But I'm sure that someone will explain that in more clarity for you. And I'm guessing really talking about a low wage economy, that's data, it's facts. So I'm guessing that's why it had formed part of the report, but I'll leave it to my more experienced and knowledgeable colleagues to provide a fuller answer for you. Thank you. Councillor Bindloss.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, may I take this opportunity to thank Councillor Charles for his report. And also to apologise to members of the scrutiny for my late arrival at the meeting. I'm also sorry if there was a confusion relating to the purpose of the Town Centre Vision document, and that it is indeed a background document, as you pointed out, to be used to steer the future development of the town. Nonetheless, I do think that the summary of the feedback from the meeting brings forth a number of valid and salient points, of which we need. They add to the value of the ultimate document that we will actually make. So it was without question very, very valid and worthwhile questions. I would also say that with regard to my comments on the consultants, what I actually said was yes. There would be, unless there was a clear need for a particular expertise that we clearly didn't have, then that would be the case. But if we do need that specific expertise, then that is something that clearly we would need to do. As far as the questions that you've added, Councillor Childs, as the chair has said, I'm sure that there are officers here that might be able to help with that and give you a more comprehensive answer than I would be able to on some of those points. So I don't know if Lee, you'd like to say a few words on that one. And what I would also say is, of course, that following that, yes, you're quite right. There should have been a reply to your questions. That's something that should have gone out to the members of scrutiny. And I'm quite certain that that's something that we will be following up immediately after the meeting.
Thank you. Lee, would you like to respond?
Yeah, of course. In regards to the two questions, the first question being around Melton receiving a fair share for any development works or any income received off the back of development works at the stockyard. Obviously, we can confirm in more detail after this meeting, but any agreements that are in place at the point within which the buildings become operational would be adhered to, and Melton would receive its share as per those agreements. Sorry, would you be able to remind me of the second question? Sorry, just to make sure.
The King Street procurement
due
diligence.
Yes, sorry. So just to clarify, when you mentioned procurement, there's no procurement per se related to the King Street. The King Street is a third-party building that's currently owned by the town estate. They are looking at potentially selling or coming to an arrangement with Brockleby Pies for that building to enable us to proceed with the bid. That sits outside of our remit as an local authority. That's an agreement between the two parties, but we are obviously monitoring how that progresses closely to ensure that what we submit in the bid is a true and accurate reflection of the position at that time.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Councillor Child, for that report and coming to us. The recommendation is to note the report that the Cabinet agreed to have regard to the scrutiny's feedback. So I think on behalf of my colleagues, I can confirm we're noting that report. Thank you. Obviously, Councillor Child, you're welcome to stay for the full duration of the Cabinet meeting, if that's what you wish to do. So now moving swiftly on to item agenda 5, approval of the town centre vision. I will pass to the Regeneration Manager to summarise the report. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so thanks very much for that. I'd kind of like to take the opportunity here just to kind of try and avoid any confusion during this agenda item. So obviously we've got 2 important items on the agenda today. The first being the town centre vision, second being the submission of the Levelling Up Fund bid. And I think it's just key to understand how they relate to one another. So obviously the town centre vision is essentially a strategic framework. It's basically an affirmation of Melton as a place should aspire to be. And it lists a number of potential projects and opportunities which we and partners and consultees believe would help us to realise that vision. Some of those projects will be led by partners, some invariably will be led by us. We're not for 1 minute assuming that all those projects will happen, or the funding is in place to deliver them. But it does create what the vision will ultimately do is create a consensus and focus for us and our partners over the next 10 years to identify which projects we believe need to be delivered and agree need to be delivered in order to best position us to seek external funding as and when it becomes available. Without going into too much detail, and I'll cover that in the agenda item after this, the LUF bid is a key example of that. It's a prime example of that. That represents an opportunity and demonstrates how this vision gives that strategic focus to the 3 key areas that we'll be submitting as part of that bid. In terms of the town centre vision itself, moving on to the report, it's essentially a comprehensive consultation has been undertaken. It's involved members of our community through kind of an online survey which finished on the 13th, so 3 days ago. It's also involved workshop events with members and stakeholders and organisations from the wider area as well. It's these consultations essentially that essentially embody and give validity to this report and this document. It's consisted of conversations at these workshops, and all this information has been fed into this vision to ensure that it's coherent and reflective of a multitude of different concerns. And obviously scrutiny have had an opportunity to feed into that, and we thank them for the feedback that we've received today. This feedback has been essentially consolidated, and it's ensured that the draft that we submitted for public consultation was a comprehensive reflection of our partner concerns. Like I say, the public consultation vision document, it ended on the 13th of June, and we received a healthy response, 110 responses in total. I'll go into some kind of the initial feedback, but to give assurance that the team are currently working to including and collating all the different comments that we've received to identify any key themes and ensure that they're reflected in the final document. So of those 71 responses, of those 110 responses, 71% positively responded to the question, do you agree with the vision set out in this document? And 66 positively responded to the question, asking whether they agreed with the projects and proposals that were set out in the document. So I think that gives us quite a clear steer in regards to support for what was outlined very broadly within that document. Some of the key messages, and there are things that people have raised, and some of the key trends that affirm what was in the document, but also identify additional things that potentially need to go in there. And I'll just list some of these very quickly. So there are ongoing concerns around the impact of the Bell Centre within the town, and there is a clear desire for people to see something being done with that site, so it turns into an attractor and not a detractor from the town. There is again an acknowledgement that appropriate car parking arrangements will be essential to the future success of the town. And our people have identified that the markets and the offer they provide within the town need to be developed further, with a view to becoming the centre focus of the town that they once were, and becoming an attraction in their own right. As well as that, and I think it's reflective of some of the discussions that we had at scrutiny and the roundtables, and there is, work needs to be done towards securing additional private sector investment into the town and ensuring that we're in a position to be able to leverage that private sector investment, and whether that be through kind of just attracting wind of investment, project work, or supporting startups more generally. So there's some of the kind of key feedback that's been fed into the consultation. And obviously the purpose of the report today is so kind of Cabinet can note and endorse the consultation version of the centre vision, and can consider those any amendments that are required from scrutiny and public feedback, to delegate authority to the Chief Executive in consultation with the portfolio holder, in order for us to be able to make any necessary amendments to the town centre vision following the consultation to finalise the document, and thirdly, and with a view to the next agenda item, to acknowledge that the formal adoption of the town centre vision will underpin the submission of the council's round 2 levelling up fund, and therefore there's a need for us to do that before the bid is submitted on the 6th of July. I think that's probably a whistle-stop tour through the report. Is there anything that Councillor Bindloss, would you like to have anything to say? Or
well, thank you for your report, Lee. That's very helpful. One of the things that I've obviously got a few words to say, as one does. Before I start, though, one of the things, the key strength that I've found with regard to this is really that everybody has taken part in this, or not everybody, but every walk of people in the town, whether it's stakeholders, whether it's the public, whether it's businesses, whether it's young people at college. This is really added to the importance and the credibility of this report. And I know this for a fact, because even although the survey was out to the public for kind of very short time, really, to be fair, 3 or 4 weeks, I have had personally quite a few people contact me to ask me, can we add this? Can we add this? What about that? What about the other? It has made people think. And I think that will add to the value of this report without any question at all. And with that, I shall now bore you for a couple of minutes with a few lines for myself. Once approved, this document will provide a unified and agreed single vision for the town centre. It will highlight the activities and projects that we know throughout the survey to be important to the public population, or to the local population. With this information, the vision document will then act as a foundation for what the council, our partners, stakeholders and residents believe to be required to equip the town centre for the future, addressing its ever-changing needs and success as a prosperous, forward-thinking market town, which is clearly what we want. With this in mind, the town centre vision document will be utilised as a framework which can be evidenced and called upon to support and inform future funding bids when they arise. To demonstrate the importance of this document, projects highlighted within the vision are already being worked upon and used to inform funding submissions to both Levelling Up Fund and the developing UK SPF. And I might just add at this point, actually, that there is a very real importance in actually having that there when we are particularly applying for the Levelling Up Fund. it shows that we've got on with it and that we are moving forward with progression. Going back, we're working currently being undertaken by officers in partnership with local stakeholders, organisations and other representatives. Further to the above, it should be noted that Melton Borough Council, where necessary, will encourage projects and activities within the vision document to be the lead organisation, and as such, Melton Borough Council will not necessarily take this role. And I think this is something that Lee alluded to a little while ago. There may be some instances, however, where the council must be directly involved, either, for example, as a landowner or through intervention by calling upon its regulatory enforcement of planning powers. The majority of these projects, however, will be led by partners, and that makes them all the more important, with our support, of course, whilst others may entirely be delivered by the private sector. The report has, throughout the course of its workshops and surveys, discussed issues affecting the town centre with the people who make up the populace of both our town and the borough, and include stakeholders, partners, businesses, and of course residents. And it's this holistic approach that I mentioned earlier that gives this paper credibility and a way forward to our town, Melton Mowbray, the rural capital of food, and so much, much more. Thank you. Can I approve that we approve the recommendations 2.1, 2.2, and of course 2.3? Thank you.
Thank you. Can I invite a seconder for that recommendation, please?
I'm happy the second. Can I say a few words here?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of things on this area. Yeah, I'm happy to support this document and to the vision itself. But I think we need to bring a little bit of realism to the table here, is that it is a small district council. We are Melton Borough Council. There's a lot of projects in here, and I think we need to ensure to the public going forward that we're clear which projects we are viable to be delivered, when they can be delivered, etc. That's the first thing. The second thing is it won't always be down to this council to deliver those projects. I think that's quite a key message for us to get out, because there are other partners who can deliver that, such as our county council colleagues, NHS, etc. And I think it's just important, again, the public realise it's not always on our shoulders. It should be, but we'll be there behind it and supporting, etc. That we're realistic about what we can do and what we can achieve, and we don't overcommit, both in our own finances, but also overcommitting expectations as well. And then finally, the two bits is which I think this cabinet certainly committed to, and our administration going forward, is that we will continue to listen to the people as things change, because things will change. It'll be an evolving document. It won't always stay forever. And society will change, and probably change a lot quicker than it has done in the last 40 years for us who've made that milestone. And finally, it's basically also about listening to business and nurturing business and guiding business as well, because again, I think the high street is going to change, and I think we have to help bring our community with us to realise that and accept that the future is going to be very much different than it is what it is today. And I think if we can do that collectively and be realistically, I think following on from what you've just said, Rob, and your direction that you're taking this council in on this, I think we should be in a decent position. So thanks everybody for the hard work, and let's see what happens over the next 12 to 18 months.
Thank you. Before I ask for a vote on this, I just wanted to add that part of the report said it's a first step in taking a long-term view, which is really important. And with that, to ensure all the key partners and landlords recognise their role in improving the town centre. And one of the things that the document's important for is to help create Melton as a visitor destination, because that's a really important part of the economy that we can capture. After reading the document, it's captured a lot of information, a lot of key areas that myself as a Melton resident would acknowledge that does need looking into and does need developing, but absolutely echo Ronan's message about making sure we focus on those projects that we can deliver and maybe not try to do everything in one go. But with that, I'm happy to say all those in favour. I'm happy to say that unanimous, that's passed. Thank you. So with that, that takes us to agenda item 6, approval to submit a levelling up funding bid. So if I can go back to the Regeneration Manager to summarise that. Thank you, Lee.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair. Yes. Again, it's a fairly lengthy report. I'll try to go through it as coherently and as succinctly as possible. So, just a bit of a background on the Levelling Up Fund. So, Levelling Up Fund essentially provides us with a clear mechanism and an opportunity to deliver elements that have been identified within that town centre visioning document we've previously discussed. The second round of the fund, 4.8 billion Levelling Up Fund, was opened just after March this year, and has a deadline of midday on the 6th of July 2022. So we've got about three weeks left of work to do before submission. Just to kind of build upon some of the changes from the first round moving into the second round. So there's awareness. We've got due to the kind of complexities around the geographical and political requirements in regards to eligibility for the fund, we're required to submit a joint bid with Rutland County Council. This option basically provides us a partnership of shared ideas and aspirations that gives both authorities the best chance of success, and that's because you can submit one bid per constituency area, and we obviously share a constituency area with Rutland County Council. So relating to that, a joint narrative is being developed and is near completion across both bidding areas, as well as a consideration of wider evidence bases which have highlighted similar challenges faced by both authorities. They're specifically around kind of a lack of social mobility in the areas, and so social mobility is essentially the opportunities that individuals have to work themselves out of poverty. But also as a result of numerous different variables, but related to COVID, Brexit, and Brexit, should I say, is a reduced competitiveness on a national scale. So that's how competitive we are in regards to our economic power compared to our neighbours on a national scale. So both the Meltland and Rutland sections of the bid are essentially focusing on developing a blueprint for transformation within our town centres, through enabling and promoting innovation in key sectors, and that have been specifically and adversely impacted by the changes we've seen over the last 2 years. To this end, the structure of our portion of the application, if we will, is based upon developing spaces and support mechanisms where innovation in the food sector can take place, through supporting enhanced growth in food production, food experiences, and the wider evening economy, and therefore generating additional value to that particular sector within the area, but having knock-on impacts to things such as visitor economy, and increasing town centre footfall. Just as a quick aside, Rutland's focus is predominantly around health innovation in their town centre, but again with the same theory sitting behind it. And there's also a proposal to develop a local demand-led transport service that could potentially operate across both local authority areas, and ultimately making our town town centres more accessible to our rural hinterlands and one another as well. So enabling them to function more as one functional economic area. Just for a bit of detail in regards to where our particular portions of the bid are. So the elements within our submission for the joint bid were enlarged essentially the same as the round one submission, albeit they've been further developed. So the stockyard will build upon good work that's been done to date and create new complementary production and experience space within the current stockyard site. I think you can see examples of that within Appendix 1 attributed to the report. And that will support kind of burgeoning local food and drink businesses within the wider region, and act as an attractor to those food producers as well, and encourage them into the area, but also provide a kind of through a growth route in terms of space availability. On top of this, additional works are being undertaken to ensure that we have flexible space that allows us to attract new events, as well as the fantastic events that we currently put on, but not just related to food. It could also be sports events or anyone else that has an interest in the area, building upon the success of the British Bulls championships that took place at the cattle market, and also with the ultimately with the main idea being that brings more new people into the area, and it brings more new people into the town centre. Of course, as well as this, it will also provide additional employment opportunities within the borough and drive additional footfall into the town, as well, as I've previously mentioned. In regards to the college site, SMBC at the theatre, so that's since the last bid that's been undertaken, they've been able to deliver some works to that site. What will be submitted, or what we'll look to submit as part of this opportunity, is to further develop the theatre to enable the space to take on a more commercial productions, which will act as a significant attractor to the town, support additional footfall, and also support the wider evening economy and its offer as well. And then the third project that the third activity that we're looking to submit as part of supporting our town centre and promoting innovation is to develop, through a partnership with Brockleby and the town estate and innovation, an innovative food centre by developing the unused King Street site, which is unfortunately not the greatest of first impressions in what is a significant gateway into the town if arriving by car into the St Mary's Way car park. That this will essentially be to bring back to life an existing rundown building. It will provide production space for a local and growing business, which will in turn increase job numbers, provide educational space for bakery and cooking classes, and as well as that, support other local businesses that they can utilise, such as training space. Again, as well as the direct benefits of increased job numbers, there will be significant additional footfall through the very popular baking and cookery classes that they currently have by relocating those to a town centre location. I think what's important to demonstrate here and mention here as well is that this submission has been developed taking into consideration the feedback we've received from the unsuccessful first round bid. We've built upon these comments, and we've developed a more robust application which we believe addresses these issues and gives us a significantly improved application alongside Rutland. Most significant, these comments have enabled us to kind of revisit and strengthen the perceived weaknesses from the initial bid, and as such we can now demonstrate and provide greater assurance to government, specifically around areas of deliverability, how they'll be monitored, and what the proposed outcomes will be, relating to and how this project will fundamentally transform and change our town centres. So sorry, and we've also given some more thought in and being able to demonstrate further the additional generated benefits for the wider town centre area, which is something that we're key to be able to demonstrate through the success of this bid. So obviously there's a series of delegations attached to this. I think there's 7 in total, but I think it's probably appropriate I pass over for Rob for comment now, Chair.
Thank you once again, Lee. Thank you. Yes. The Levelling Up Fund poses a significant opportunity for Melton Borough Council to deliver on its agenda and corporate priorities, to develop areas and bring tourism, increased tourism that we need, visitors and businesses back into the town to support the town and borough's economy, frankly. This also aligns with the emerging vision document that has been discussed previously. The schemes are aspirational in their nature, and they should be successful. If they're successful, they will kickstart the transformation of the town centre, enabling it to become a place that best serves the users of today, as well as those future users that are expected as a result of the planned growth within the town. The council are working very closely with Rutland and have taken on board the feedback received from the first round to enhance the joint bid as much as possible. There is still quite a long way to go with the application being updated on a daily basis. The delegations within the report give the council the authority to submit a bid that will give the best possible chance of success. At this particular moment in time, I haven't got massive more to say about this. One of the things I would just say, though, is really to thank officers and the members that have been involved in this, who have all worked incredibly hard to get where we are today. There's an awful lot of work, if you want, behind the scenes as far as this is concerned. Not least of all, with asking questions and getting answers. And particularly thank Lee for his hard work over the last few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I pass over to the Chief Exec to say a few words?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to follow up on a couple of points and just to reiterate my thanks to Lee and the team, because I know there's an awful lot of work being done at the minute on this, and obviously the UK SPF as well. So it's a very busy time for them. It was just to pick up on the point around the delegations. I think just to give the Cabinet some assurance, because it is very much work in progress. This is a live piece of work, as Councillor Bindloss said. It's moving on a daily basis. And we're really determined to make sure it's the strongest possible bid, picking up all the points that that Rob has already referred to. There is delegations are set out in the report, and particularly 2.5 gives us a bit of flexibility, because one of the things that we need to be really clear on is that obviously we submit the strongest possible bid. We've got a really strong proposition in principle. What we need to make sure is we've got a proposition that actually, when submitted, will pass the very rigorous testing it will go through in government. And so that delegation gives Councillor Bindloss and myself the opportunity to take stock 2-3 weeks hence, prior to the deadline, and make sure that all components of the bid are to the right standard, because one of the crucial issues with this is that our bid will only be as strong as the weakest part, and therefore it's really incumbent on us to make sure with great rigor that it is as good as it possibly can be. So there is flexibility in the delegation, subject to Cabinet approval tonight, to allow us to take stock once that further work has been done. And there'll be a further formal decision that follows this Cabinet meeting by way of a decision record taken under delegated power. So just to get that assurance, Chair, that we will continue to monitor the situation and work closely with our partners to make sure we can get it to the right standard. But obviously we have opportunities to take stock down the line if we need to.
Thank you. I think with the committee as it stands, the Cabinet as it stands, I'll invite a seconder and for comments as well, if you have any.
Yeah, happy to second it. And yeah, just a couple of comments is that just following on from what Councillor Bindloss and the Chief Executive said, is that I think the whole of the Cabinet will be keeping an eye on this to make sure it is as robust as what it should be before it is submitted. But obviously, we put our trust in Councillor Bindloss to ensure that that's followed through, and that's only right to do so with the role that he's got, and we will respect that as well. Also, a couple of other things is, I think this is an opportunity for the town, and it is an opportunity for the borough to kickstart things off. And I think if we can get this right and get some investment into Melton Mowbray, it might start making Melton Mowbray what it should really be, is a good visitor attraction in town that feeds off the history of Melton Mowbray and everything that it has. I think it's certainly much less an untapped resource than what it could be, and it could be the start of some meaningful regeneration for Melton Mowbray, and hopefully then from that there spread some regeneration into our rural villages and into the Vale of Beaver, especially, again, something that's untapped. So pretty happy to support this based upon the assurances that Councillor Bindloss, the Chief Executive, given, and look forward to seeing the final version that's going to go to government.
Councillor Bindloss, you want to respond?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Brown. Yeah, there's a lot of hard work left to do on this, as I think I alluded to earlier. And this is something that will be certainly inclusive, as far as I encourage all the Cabinet members to get involved in this. all of them to say their two penneth, quite frankly, throughout this period. And I'm quite sure that there's going to be a lot of hard work and probably even a few hard words said between now and when we come to the final copy. What I would say is it will, as Ed has already said, it will be the best that we have. And there won't be any weak links. We're going for 100% strength on this one. And we'll see where we go. Thank you. Oh, I must also say, I suppose we better recommend to approve 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, and I believe there's even a 2.7. Thank you.
Formally, I'll second that. Just formally, I know I forgot. Sorry.
Thank you. Before I move on to the vote, I'd just like to say a few comments. Obviously, the town centre is one of the key aspects of the Borough of Melton's economy. However, not forgetting that there is an economy in the surrounding areas, and whatever positivity we do within that town centre, it should emanate outwards. We are looking towards the future of Melton Mowbray, and the future includes strengthening our economy. And a bid like this is so important to leverage in funding to help us do that. We do need what the report suggests: economic recovery and growth, improved connectivity, and there is a need for regeneration. And there is a lot of hard work that has gone into the makings of this report, and there's a lot of hard work to come owing to the short timescales. So the deadline for the submission of round 2 is 6th of July. So our vote is important to helping that progress. So thank you, Lee, and the team of people that went put a lot of hard work into this, but I believe this is something that Melton Mowbray really needs. So can I go to the vote, please? All those in favour? So I'd like to say that is unanimous, and that goes forward. Thank you, Lee, and members.
Thank you, Chair.
We have one item on the agenda item. Nearly forgot, but I didn't really. Agenda item 7. That's the biannual Ombudsman report, and I think I'm inviting our colleague Natasha to speak on the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Freer. Members, before you is a report which provides details of complaints submitted to the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman and the Housing Ombudsman. The information is reported to Cabinet in accordance with Chapter 2, Part 2 of the Constitution, which provides that the monitoring and oversight of complaints is a function of the Cabinet. The report provides a breakdown of the 5 complaints which have been received by the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman in respect of the Council since July 2021, and a summary of each complaint is provided. Further details of the recommendations and service comments for the 2 complaints upheld by the Ombudsman are provided at paragraph 5.2. This information is provided in order to evidence implementation of the recommendations and the Council's commitment to responding to these complaints in the appropriate way. The report also confirms that there are currently 3 complaints lodged with the Housing Ombudsman at this time, but as these complaints are still in progress, there are no further details to report, but those details will be reported to Cabinet in due course. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that summary. Members, have you got any questions or comments that you'd like to put forward on that report? As this isn't something that we vote on, we're just noting it. If there are no further comments, then I'm happy just to put forward that we, as the Cabinet, note the contents of that report and close that item. Thank you. As far as I'm aware, there are no any other business at the end of the meeting. So with that, I will close the meeting at 5:19. Thank you.